Everyone. It's Marley Barenka, Attendance Assistant Principal. I'm welcoming you to your attendance training, your favorite training of the year. Here is a little agenda of what we're going to go over. Student schedules, what you do when a student shows up in your class and they're not scheduled on your IC, or if a student has an incorrect schedule and needs to have a change of some type. We're going to review our enrollment count procedure. Enrollment counts will start. We're going to do our first practice count on Tuesday, August 12th. Attendance summary reports, those ASRs that everybody loves. We won't start those for 3 weeks, but we're going to go over the process and then I'll send you out a little refresher in 3 weeks. Attendance policy, what's our new attendance policies for this year, and how do they apply to COVID? Taking attendance, so taking how you actually do the mechanics of taking attendance in Infinite Campus, and then excluded students, what that looks like, and then that temporary distance learning policy for Damani Ranch, and we're going to need to all have the same type of policy for getting our excluded kids their work. All right. First slide here out of, I think, 30. I hope it's not 30. Yes, it's 31 slides. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Okay, first day of school. Let's do it fast. What do we do with a student who's not scheduled into our class? So when kids walk into your class, you should definitely have your Infinite Campus up. Refresh that right before you take attendance in case the counselors made any schedule changes, and you want to make sure that you are checking that every single kid in your class is on that Infinite Campus roster. Now this should be pretty easy since you have to keep a seating chart. This year, day one, I need to have a seating chart. We need to know where those kids are in case we have to exclude somebody, okay? So have your seating chart set up before the kids walk into the classroom, and you're going to use that Infinite Campus just to verify that everybody in your classroom is on your Infinite Campus rosters. Counselors are pretty much making changes continuously, so you need to just double check that seating chart before the kids walk in. Okay. If they're not on your roster and they're in your class and they don't know where to go, see if they can bring up their Infinite Campus app and just look on there for their schedule. Now, you want to be careful because we do not want to have a picture on their phone of their schedule because the counselors may have already made a change. So kids not on your Infinite Campus roster, they don't stay in your class. If they can't bring that schedule up on their Infinite Campus app, then go ahead and send them to the Career Center, and Lupe will go ahead and print them out a schedule. You can tell them Mr. Kabata will print them out a schedule. Okay, everybody that has a messed up schedule is going to end up going to the Career Center, and Lupe is kind of going to do triage for the counselors. So there's many reasons a kid's schedule might be incorrect. One really bad one, there's two really bad ones. One, they're missing a class, like they don't have a second period class. That's the worst possible one. Or they have 2 second period classes. So we want to make sure one class period they have 2 classes. That has to be fixed because the kid is getting marked absent in the class he's not in. A missing class period, we want to get that in because we're not getting funded for kids that don't have complete schedules. If a student says they already took a class, like they took a math class in summer school and now they're in geometry again, we want to get those kids scheduled into Algebra 2 because they're probably not real good in math and we don't want them to be sitting in the wrong class. And then we have our kids that just don't like their schedule and they want to make a schedule change. Chances are that's not going to happen because we don't have a lot of wiggle room in that schedule, but they can go ahead and get on a list for their counselor. Their counselor at the end of the day, I think, is going to, close shop up about an hour before the day ends and then kind of look at those signups and see who they can get changes for and who they can't. So the counselors will be getting to the kids, but especially kids that want to make schedule changes. Those kids are going to be the last kids that the counselors work with, so they're going to have to be very patient. At some schools, they don't make any changes for 2 weeks, so our kids are very lucky. I won't say what school that is. No. Okay, to enrollment counts. So enrollment counts will happen during second period. So those of you that have second period prep, you're super lucky. Enrollment counts are done because that's how we get our funding. Okay, so we are super packed right now, and there's a good chance we should be up for some extra allocations. But we don't get those allocations if we don't do our count right, if we don't count every single kid, and those kids that aren't showing up for school, we need to get those kids back in the building before count day. Okay, and so ultimately we will be able to probably have our last count on August 26th if we do everything right, but a big part of that is getting a hold of those no-show kids and getting them into the building so that we can get money for them. Okay, and you are really good readers, so I'm going to let you read all that. The SARs, it does talk about it in here. I'm not sure why I actually have it in that slide, but I do. Enrollment counts, when you are doing a count in your classroom, on Tuesday, I'm going to put sub-attendance rosters in your box, and I'll get here early in the morning. I'll print those out. They'll be in your box by 7 o'clock in the morning, so you can come down. Actually, I'll get them there by 6:45 because some of you teach class at 7 o'clock. So you'll want to come and pick up. I'm just going to put that second period sub-attendance roster in your box, and that'll just give me a chance if you guys can just put for that day who is present, a P, who's absent, and then who has not showed. So when we define, I don't know if you can see my little cursor or not, but when we define present is in a, for Tuesday will be a student that was in your class before. So student came to school on Monday, didn't show up on Tuesday when we're doing the count. That kid is absent, okay? A present kid is a kid sitting in the class. An absent kid is a kid that's been to your class before, but now they're not in your class. And then a no-show kid is a kid that you've never ever seen, okay? You also need to, on that first count day, this shouldn't happen on the second count day, but on that first count day, I would like you to write on the SARS report any kid that's on your Infinite Campus attendance list, but not on that sub-attendance roster. Normally, when we do a count, the counselors don't make any class changes, but since it's the second day of school, they have to make class changes. So just add those kids that have been added to your class to the bottom of the attendance, the sub-attendance roster for me. Mark present on the kids that are in your class, and mark absent for the kids that have been in your class before but are no longer there. Mark no-show for kids that aren't there. At the bottom of the paper, you are going to sign, and then you're going to put the date on there, okay? At the top, I'd like you to put like the number of present, the number of absent, and
Good evening, New Mustangs.
Guess what?
We're going to be starting in the gym in 10 minutes.
Lucky for you guys, I only have 10 minutes to wrap this up. All right. Okay, so class record books, you are required to keep a class record book that's taking attendance in class every day and then verifying that daily attendance in with your ASRs. You're also going to be checking for like enrollment and withdrawal status of kids from your class, and you should see an E on your ASR for that. Okay, starting the third week of school, we will start rolling those out, and this year we're going to roll them every week. I just think it might be easier. They will be stored on that share drive, so the procedure will be on SharePoint, so the procedure will be similar to last year, okay? You'll go onto that verification log and just type your name in with the date that you have checked, that you're just saying you took your attendance. Excuse me. All right. These are laws and policies that govern attendance. Okay, new rule this year is that we will not have that 90% attendance rule. So it doesn't matter how often a kid comes to your classroom. If they are passing your class at the end of the semester, then they've earned that grade. So nobody will lose credit for attendance. All right. There will be no attendance appeals. There is no hybrid or full distance learning. Woohoo! Okay. In class, attendance for a person that's supposed to be in class, we really, 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 I know you're tempted to teach on Teams and maybe broadcast yourself so kids at home and they can see the class. But we do not want to get stuck in that place we were last year where kids were choosing to stay home and do their classes virtually. So we don't want to really have a virtual option for kids, okay? So the kid is present if they are physically in your class, and they are absent if they're not in your class. No exceptions. That's for an in-person kid. For a temporary distance learner, Damani Ranch is going to have a policy. That policy is going to have you keep a team. You're going to have the work and whatever instructional materials they need posted there. They can access that material on Teams and they can message you, okay? That right there will count a person, a temporary distance learner, present. You don't have to do anything for a temporary distance learner that gets a hold of you through Teams. During the day, they're just present. And they should be getting a hold of you during your class period, so you guys don't have to continually check on that one. All right. What's new? Distance learning or temporary distance learning is only available for COVID kids. So you will see an HDED as an exclusion or an HDCT as an exclusion. One's an exclusion from Washoe County School District, one's an exclusion from the health department. These codes are the only children that will put on temporary distance learning, and just because they're part of the pandemic. The HDED or the HDE code is used for kids that say I throw up, that's my only symptom. I'm not excluded because of COVID, but I can't come back to school for 48 hours. Those kids are automatically marked absent. Of course, they can go on and access the learning materials on your team site, but they're still going to be marked absent. That's just the rules. All right. If you want to mark a kid that has a code of HDED or HDCT absent, you will type this HDED into the comment section on the attendance list. So for virtual kids, we can only take attendance on that attendance list in IC. Okay, what is absent? When a student is not in attendance in person or they did not communicate with you, they are considered absent. Okay, for high school, this is kind of that main menu of how you take attendance. been a while since I've taken attendance on Infinite Campus, so this all looks very foreign to me.